a nightmare that maybe you don't want to wake up from. Let's talk about the new indie film Waking Nightmare. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Waking Nightmare, which is coming to digital on August 18th, 2023. It is a film that is a long time coming. I believe the film was filmed in 2016. The copyright on the film is 2018. It took this long to actually come out, but it is finally coming out. Is this nightmare worth watching? Is this something you're going to want to be awake for? Well, my hot take is, look, I think you should pass on it. There's a lot of interesting things about this film. There's some things I did like, but overall, it feels a little bit rough. The story's a little tough to follow, and it doesn't really give you a very satisfying ending. So my recommendation is to pass on it, but there are some things I really did love about it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then very, very quickly go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't want to know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off when I get to the ending section. Before that, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Waking Nightmare, you have Jordan, who's played by Pitch Perfect Shelley Regner. She is having kind of manic episodes. She's having trouble sleeping. And when she does, she sometimes starts sleepwalking in the middle of the night, and you don't really know why. It seems to be related to some trauma that happened to her when she was in college. Now, because of this, her mom, Danielle, played by Diane Franklin, takes her to a family doctor, and the doctor prescribes her some Ambien to help with these episodes. But as she's taking these pills, she starts to realize that she's forgetting more and more about what is happening. And maybe she doesn't want to remember because there are some terrible things that do occur. So things I liked about this movie. The first, I liked the opening a lot. It has a really interesting kind of like fever dream style splash screen. It kind of has a bunch of older classic movies and cartoons with some kind of psychedelic effects. I didn't really know what to expect from this, like what this was trying to say, but it did manage to have like a very eye-popping, eye-catching opening sequence that really kind of made you wonder like what is going to happen. The second thing I love, look, I like the cast. I like the cast a lot. I like seeing Shelley Regner in this. I like seeing Diane Franklin in this. There was a lot of really great talent in this movie, and it's fun to see them kind of take on different roles. This is definitely not Shelley Regner in Pitch Perfect. This is definitely not Diane Franklin in the 80s movies that you know her from. These are some very different characters, and it's fun to see these actors kind of like stretch their wings and kind of like take on a different persona. And the last thing I love, look, I actually really like the effects. It's an indie film. It's a low budget indie film, but I think they do a really good job with the effects and with the budget that they have. There is some pretty good looking gore, and they do a really nice job with the lighting to make some of the scenes seem very, very unsettling, despite not having a ton of budget. Like they do a really nice job with some of the characters when something scary is going to happen. I don't know if it's makeup. I don't know if it's light. It's something that the filmmaker definitely knows how to get the best perspective and how to get like the best framing of a shot to give you this like sense of unease when something appears, or to have a character look very unsettling. So I think the film definitely maximized its budget. You can tell it's a low budget film, but I think they did a really good job, at least on the effects side. So that being said, things I didn't love as much about this movie. The first, I'm going to say kind of wasting time, question mark. Like, I think that this film didn't have enough footage to have a full movie. And so at the start, there's that really like vibrant splash screen imagery that I mentioned, where it has all these like old classic movies and these classic cartoons with these strange effects. I thought that was really, really nice. But then it's kind of reused throughout the film. So it made me wonder, like, is this just a sequence to like pad the stats, to like make this film a little bit longer than it actually is? Because I think the film is about 78 minutes long. So it's relatively short for a movie. And I wasn't sure if like this long sequence of psychedelic effects was just a way to kind of like lengthen the start. And then on the flip side, at the end, the credit sequence goes very slowly. So I feel like the ending, they were trying to also extend the runtime to turn what was probably like a 65-minute movie into a 77-minute movie. It definitely felt a little odd. I don't love it when I feel like my time is getting wasted. And also, this film could have probably used a little bit more footage to help explain the story, which is my second point. The second thing I didn't love as much, it's kind of a messy story. Like the story is kind of hard to follow. It feels like there could have been some more explanation. There's a lot of things that happen, but there's not a lot of linkage between those things. So for me, it was tough to tell like exactly what's happening, who some of these characters were. Occasionally you would meet like a brand new character that we've never seen before, and it seems like there's a relationship. It felt like sometimes things would happen and you're not sure like which character is this happening to. It feels like the story could have used a little bit more kind of explanation, a little bit more kind of linking scenes. And I get it, it's an indie film. They probably didn't have the budget when they filmed it, and the film was made years ago. So by the time it was being edited for a final cut, they probably weren't able to go back and reshoot any scenes. But it just, for me, the story was really tough to follow. And the last thing I didn't love as much, I didn't really love the ending. You don't really get a very satisfying ending. It kind of wraps it up, and there's some things that are implied, but you don't get a ton of closure from it. So, it's a horror movie. You're not going to get a ton of closure sometimes. But for me, I wanted something kind of nice to wrap up this movie, especially because the story was kind of tough for me to follow. So that is Waking Nightmare. It comes to digital on August 18th, 2023. Check it out if you want to. Let me know what you thought. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what I got right and wrong. I'm going to very quickly go into like the ending of the movie. So if you don't want to know what happens in this, I would turn it off now. So, like I said, this film focuses on Jordan, who is having trouble sleeping after her college roommate committed suicide. She was in college, her roommate committed suicide. After that, she is having trouble sleeping. She's like waking up, she's having nightmares. So, her mom takes her to a family doctor to give her a prescription for Ambien. And that doesn't help her the way that we were hoping. Jordan then starts becoming a little bit more manic. She sleepwalks a little more, and then some terrible things start happening because of that. One of the first things that happens is she just, decides to sleepwalk out of her house, and some driver pulls up to her and then tries to assault her in his car. Now, this driver thought he was going to have like an easy score, but it turned out poorly for him because Jordan then starts stabbing him over and over again with a knife. So, like, not great for her to do, but he probably shouldn't have tried to assault her. So, it kind of balances out. Anyways, so then after this, Jordan like goes back to her house and like showers off. She takes the bloody slip that she had on, and I guess she throws it in the laundry, and then she showers and cleans herself off, and she's crying during this. So you don't really know if she remembers this or not. It kind of You would kind of think that she remembers it because she's crying and she like physically goes into a shower. It'd be very difficult to like take a shower and not wake up. But later in the film, you get the implication that she actually doesn't remember anything that happens during these night episodes. So Jordan's mom, Danielle, suspects that something is going on. So the cops start asking questions about this person that died and like some of the things that people saw before it happened. And Danielle is very evasive about it. She's like, "Oh, that's terrible. Like Jordan was asleep the entire time." But her mom starts to suspect something, and then she really knows because she was doing Jordan's laundry and there was a bloody slip in there, which, that makes sense that, she would definitely be concerned when a person kind of matching her daughter's description was out at night and she comes home with a bloody slip. So her mom has this very emotional scene where she's like yelling at her, trying to ask her like what she did. And Jordan says she doesn't remember. So it seems like she actually doesn't remember anything about these episodes. That doesn't mean they stop though, because later that night there is this weird scene where this neighbor named Paul, you don't know him at all, like we haven't had any introduction to him, so you just go into this scene where this person is like seems to be on drugs, seems to be like watching old classic cartoons and like masturbating to them. It's a very strange scene. He seems like a very disturbed person. So, but during this scene, he then gets up and like starts walking around, and Jordan appears from out of one of the closets, and she is definitely having one of her episodes because she looks like the girl from The Ring. She has like long hair, it's a little bit over her face. She is like silent, not saying anything. And Paul again thinks like, oh, like this will be an easy score. So he gets her on the ground and starts assaulting her. And you think, okay, what's Jordan going to do? Is she going to stab him? She doesn't have any weapons on her, so you're like not sure what's going to happen. She seems to be just kind of like a statue at this point. And as Paul is starting to assault her, someone starts strangling him. And you're like, oh, like this is new. Like it's not Jordan because she's on the ground. Turns out Diane is here. Diane, the mom who had suspected that Jordan did something, seems like she was following Jordan and seems like she came in the nick of time to prevent this from happening. So that's two people that try to assault Jordan, two people that are dead. So Jordan, again, doesn't remember any of this. So she goes out with her friend Zoe and she decides that they're going to go for a hike and then spend the night at Zoe's place. Not a good idea when you are having strange episodes that you can't control, that you can't remember, and that you then kill people from. So during this scene, Zoe and her boyfriend go off to do what they're going to do in the bedroom. And Jordan is on the couch with this other person we'd seen a couple times. Didn't really get introduced to him. He seems like a nice guy, but we don't really know much about him. He is hanging out. Jordan falls asleep. He is hanging out. He goes to get some food from the fridge, and you're like, this is probably not going to be good. And as he's doing this, when he closes the fridge, you see the silhouette of Jordan, the like ring looking silhouette of Jordan in the background. You're like, uh-oh, it's going to happen again. Now, unfortunately, we don't know if anything actually happens because we don't get any closure from this scene, but we do get to see Danielle, Jordan's mother, invite over one of the cops who was investigating this whole series of murders. After the neighbor was killed, this neighbor Paul, after he was killed, the cop came back around and asked some more questions. So I think Danielle is getting a little concerned about this cop. So she invites him over to talk to him. Now, she serves him some tea, and it seems like the tea was poisoned because the cop starts to like cough and pass out. The cop wakes up in a Dexter-like kill room. The mom has like hung tarps around. She is ready to take out this person. And she's basically like, I'm going to protect my daughter with any way necessary. But it's a very kind of like sadistic way to do it. She cuts him and she like drives a screwdriver into his knee. And I'm like, why are you doing this? If you're just gonna like silence this cop, just kill the cop. But she is like torturing him. And I don't really understand why she did this. Maybe like some of the things that are happening to Jordan are actually from her mom. Maybe her mom has like some homicidal tendencies that were passed down. You don't really know, but she has a pretty sadistic time with this cop saying like, I'm gonna do whatever is necessary to protect my daughter. The mom does also say that Jordan's had a few messes that she's had to clean up along the way. So you get the maybe impression that maybe Jordan's roommate didn't actually commit suicide. Maybe Jordan killed her roommate and then they framed it as a suicide. You don't know. Like I said, you don't get a ton of closure in this movie, but that is something that's kind of implied from what the mom is saying. Now, eventually, as she's torturing the cop just gets shot in the head. And you look up and Jordan's dad, Jeff, is there. And Jeff was one of the characters I really, really liked in this film. He was just kind of like really chill, really like laid back. He was kind of a nice balance to the rest of the movie because the mom and Jordan were very kind of serious characters. Jeff was very, very laid back. And so him coming out here and shooting this cop is like out of nowhere. Again, a big surprise. But it was nice to see that he was not just kind of the pushover that he was made out to be in the film. So it seems like the family has a lot of secrets that they are hiding. Jordan wakes up back in her room and she is very angry. And I don't know why she's angry. I think maybe she killed that friend. Maybe she's just angry that she keeps like waking up and not remembering what happened because she definitely was in another place when she went to sleep and now she's awake at her home. But after Jordan wakes up, she like pulls a box from under her bed that has a bunch of like college mementos. And there's pictures of her and Jamie and things like that. She starts looking through them and smiling. I was expecting like a big reveal here in this box, like something that would say like Jordan actually killed Jamie. You don't get that, but you do get Jordan going to the doctor. They want to get a more powerful drug for her. It feels like the Ambien is not working. And you get to read like a letter that Jordan is writing Jamie. So it says like, Dear Jamie, it's no fun being stuck in my head. I'm on to better things. And it looks like from the writing that she kind of remembers Jamie when she sleeps and she remembers Jamie when she sleepwalks. And that's probably why she had so many nightmares. She probably remembered, I don't know, maybe remember finding Jamie dead. Maybe remembered like doing something to her. You're not 100% sure. But it seems like Jordan is remembering Jamie and now she's like ready to kind of move on. And that's why maybe she's on to better things. So it seems like maybe now Jordan is ready to kind of like forget Jamie and move on with her life. You hope, because there's going to be a lot of bodies if she doesn't. But that is Waking Nightmare. Like I said, I liked a lot about it, but the story was pretty messy. The ending wasn't super fulfilling. And it did feel like this movie was trying to like pad its stats. So overall, I think it's a pass. But look, if you check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know I got right and wrong. Oh, and also check out my interview with Diane Franklin. She was very generous with her time. She gave me an interview about this film, and it was really interesting because like this film came out during the SAG strike, but she was able to do press for it because it is an indie film coming out on an indie platform, direct to digital. So that like worked into the exceptions. So she was able to do an interview and talk about this film. She was fun to talk to. She has a lot of great insights. So definitely check out that. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.